Hi, I'm Mike, and if you're new here, I like to talk about my experiences on YouTube and share with you guys things that I have learned or experienced on my YouTube journey. Now, some of you are going to look at the number of subscribers I've got on this channel and the number of videos and say, what do you know about YouTube? Well, this is not my main channel. This channel at the time of making this video is not monetized. I have two other channels that are monetized. One I've been doing for over 3 years. I have over 2 million views on that channel. My second channel I started just over a year ago, and I was able to monetize that channel in 90 days and start drawing revenue, real revenue, money that could pay real bills. And we'll talk about those channels a little bit and stuff, maybe in another video, and how much money I've made in 2022. If you guys are really interested in that, leave me a comment and I'll try to make time to make that video. Most of my efforts are focused on my other two channels, but sometimes I like to share things on here. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff on YouTube I wanted to talk about. And the question that I think people are asking or should be considering is, what's going on with YouTube? And should you consider starting a YouTube channel now? Because some people are leaving YouTube, or at least talking about it, taking breaks, backing away from it. And why? Why are they doing that? So let's get into that a little bit. I have seen videos, my main channels are in the motorcycle niche. So I've seen other channels in the motorcycle niche who, big channels, who have said their videos aren't performing near as well. Periodically you see this, something changes with the algorithm, or the content creator experiments and tries different things and their views drop off and stuff. But this content creator is talking about videos that have been out there for a long time and performed well in search are suddenly not performing well in search, but they're not newer, better, more relevant videos. They're just not getting the views. Now maybe interest has dropped off on that topic, but I kind of think this guy's been doing YouTube for like 10 years, full time. He kind of knows what his channel's like, and he's seeing a big change, and he's not the only one saying that. And he was talking about, not leaving YouTube entirely, but preparing for, the eventuality. He's starting to post videos on another, platform called Rumble. I don't know that I'm going to do that, but I may think about it. There may not be as much competition there and not as much revenue, but it may be some place to get in early if it turns out to be that people start, exiting YouTube, or advertisers start putting their money into other platforms than YouTube. There's this channel that I'm talking about that's doing this. I've seen 2 or 3 other channels who are saying recently, in just the last few weeks, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to step back, I'm going to evaluate and see if I want to return to YouTube, or I need to take a break from YouTube. Now, this is January, and I know from doing YouTube from 3 years that ad revenue kind of goes through the floor in January compared to where it was at in November and December. At least from my experiences, ad revenue starts going up as we come into the shopping season for Christmas, and then after January 1st, after December ends, after Christmas is over, ad revenue drops. And I mean like maybe half. Can you imagine if you went into work one day and your boss says, well, I've been paying you $20 an hour, but today I'm paying you 10. Well, how come? Because that's all the money there is from the ad revenue. That's all we got to divvy up, and that's your share. Come to work tomorrow, maybe you'll get 10, maybe you'll get 20. Just don't know, but make sure you show up and put out content. And that's kind of what it's like being a content creator. You can make great content, you can get views, but you can't control what that RPM level is and what advertisers are paying in the bidding war. And it's not very transparent how much money YouTube is being paid. I mean, we have to take their word that they're being paid this for the ads that are placed on our channel, and here's our share. But we don't get to actually see what the advertiser's paying. We don't know for sure. I really questioned this a year ago when Google started putting Google Fi ads on all these people's channels. Were they paying competitive rates to everybody else? Were they paying less? Were they paying more? What were they paying? Because they were putting ads on everybody's channel. And that seemed kind of strange to me. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Let's get back to what's going on with YouTube. So I'm seeing content creators taking breaks. I'm seeing content creators talking about changing platforms. Revenue's down. YouTube just did a bunch of community guideline changes, and it's killing some channels. So it doesn't affect me personally, but as I understand it, last year, if you were to curse in a video, the rule was you had to, not curse in the first 8 seconds of the intro, or there was a chance your channel would be demonetized. If you did video games where you had violence and things like that in there, you just didn't put it like right in the opening and stuff like that. Maybe you did, I don't know. I don't have a video game channel, but what's being done now is these new revised community guidelines are saying no cursing in the first 30 seconds. If you curse consistently throughout the video, it could be demonetized. If you are, trying to monetize videos that are portraying graphic violence and death, even if it's a video game, you could be demonetized. And from what I understand, there's a lot of channels that are getting videos, they're getting demonetized now under the new guidelines that were making money last year. And a lot of content creators, YouTubers are upset. They say it's not fair. They made this content meeting the guidelines of the time, and it was fine then, and they've been making money on it, and suddenly YouTube's changed the rules and they can't make money anymore. And that's not fair. It's just not fair. Well, I understand it's not fair. I'm not saying it is fair. I'm saying that's life. This is YouTube's sandbox. We choose to play in it. They can change the rules anytime they want. They can demonetize you. They can cancel your channel. I've seen channels get hacked and they get their channel like 3 strikes and they were out kind of thing. Videos that were monetized are no longer monetized and people are upset. That could be a big deal. I mean, if you were making $50,000 a year and half your videos get demonetized and suddenly you're only going to make $25,000 a year, that could really hurt, especially if you're paying people to edit your videos or you have other overhead or you're trying to live off that $50,000 a year as a full-time content creator. That's a big deal. I get it, but it's not new to the world. It may be, an outrage to YouTube, but here's an example. And this is a real example, real story. So just hang on, bear with me for a second. Don't click off. I'm going to get to how it's relevant. In 1990 in Missouri, if you were in possession of 2 ounces of marijuana or 1/10 of a pound, that was a felony amount. Anything over 35 grams is a felony possession of marijuana. So if you pled guilty, because you were guilty, and you got probation, you walked off your probation, you got most of your rights back. There's a few things you couldn't do as a convicted felon, but at the time in Missouri, you could still possess a firearm, you could still go hunting. I'm not talking federal law, I'm not talking buying a gun from an FFL, I'm just talking Missouri law. You could possess a gun, you could go hunting, you could do those things, you could have a gun in your house for self-protection. 10, 15 years later, some lawmaker decides that no felons should have a gun. They get a law passed, they strike the word violent out where it said, violent felons couldn't possess a gun, and now it just says any felon can't possess a gun. So no felons can possess a gun. That goes on for 8, 10 years, and finally lobbyists get with the lawmakers and they get this changed back. Kinda, but they didn't get everything changed back. They didn't get the word violent put back in every place that it was at previously, and suddenly there's this gray area. If you're a convicted felon, maybe you can possess a gun, maybe you can't, and until someone takes it to the Missouri Supreme Court and tries it, it's a little bit of a gray area, and nobody wants to set that precedent. And then we start to see states doing, medical marijuana. And Missouri passed a medical marijuana law a few years ago, which meant probably recreational marijuana laws were coming. And sure enough, this year, Missouri just went into effect with a recreational marijuana law. And if you were in possession of less than 3 pounds of marijuana when you were convicted, it's going to get wiped from your record like you never had a felony. So suddenly, all your rights will be restored, and now you'll be back to being able to possess a gun. My point with this story is what's going on with YouTube is not any different than what goes on in real life. This stuff happens with laws, with all kinds of stuff. The rules change, and what was fair and what was allowed is no longer allowed. And as long as you're going to play in YouTube's sandbox, you're going to play by their rules. So if you're thinking about making a channel, you need to understand that the chances that you're going to make enough money to be a full-time YouTuber are slim. That's not the typical results. Most YouTubers do it as a hobby. Some make money at it. A few make it big enough to go full-time or to have, maybe even, several make it, maybe a bigger percentage, I think, make it enough to be full-time. But then some of them grow it to be a business, and they have editors, and they have staff, and they have production crews, and all kinds of stuff. And maybe you can make it to that level. Maybe you will be the next Mr. Beast. But the odds are against you, and you need to understand what you're getting into. After 3 years of YouTube, I am sure I would be financially better off if I just got a part-time job making minimum wage, and all the time I spent on developing a channel, making content, and all those things, I would have made more money from a minimum wage job with the same number of hours after 3 years. And I wouldn't have had the expense of buying cameras and lights and going on trips and filming stuff on location and trying to make these videos. Now, some of that stuff where I went on location, I would probably do that either way, but I probably would maybe enjoy my time there a little more if I wasn't trying to create content. I could be more immersed in the event and less trying to, think about and work while I'm enjoying the event. The reality is, chances are you're not going to become a full-time YouTuber. Maybe you'll make a little money at it. You shouldn't go into this unless you are really, really prepared to do hard work and you think you have some talent. I don't have much talent, so I have to work extra hard. And maybe that's why I could make just as much money doing a part-time, gig at minimum wage as I do from YouTube. But the reality is, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people making content that are in the same boat. And you need to think about, what if that's you? Is this something you really, really want to do? I'm not going to try and sell you like a lot of these other channels on, it's never too late to start YouTube. It's never. But is it, what is your goals with YouTube? What do you want out of it? Is it realistic? Those are the things you need to think about. And you need to understand that YouTube can pull the plug on this thing at any time for any of us. I just wanted to talk about what's going on with YouTube, and I wanted to give you a realistic perspective from someone who's a small creator who's making a little bit of money on YouTube. What's going on, why people are, talking about quitting YouTube, what the realities are for, the return on your investment and your chances of success. So if you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I am going to try being much more diligent about putting out videos like this going forward. Most of them are probably just going to be talking head videos like this because I spend a lot of my editing time on my other channels. But if this channel grows, maybe I'll put a little more effort into it as well. All right, I hope you guys liked the video. Y'all stay safe. See you in the next one.